Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for April 3rd through 10th, 2023. Well, how are you doing? We have had an incredibly activating time. The Aries energy right now, we have a stellium of planets in Aries, bringing a fiery energy of individualism, an energy of selfishness, of wanting to own what's ours and take back what's ours. This is a very helpful energy for supernova souls, but it's also very disconcerting. And it's like the energies are coming in, trying to break us, bust us out of our shell, and massive shifts and changes. But this Aries energy in the background is just this like constant activating force that is bringing us subtle anxiety. It's activating our life force. Now, we've also just had Venus cross over Uranus. So not only do we have the Aries life force action, taking what's ours, awakening to our power, energy going on. We've had Venus in Taurus, her home sign, meeting up with Uranus. Now, Uranus is higher frequency vibration. In Taurus, the sign of the body, of physical form. And so it's like an enlightenment energy, an activation of our higher frequency vibrations in our body. So having that with the Aries activation is making us feel like we want to just jump out of our skin. And indeed, we are facing everything that's kept us contained and held back and controlled through lifetimes. We have to understand that what we're dealing with right now, what's coming up in your life, is a lifetime. It's a pattern over lifetimes. This has to do with Chiron. Chiron is our deepest wounds. It's very important in the birth chart of supernova souls because it is a pattern that's played out throughout the whole evolution. Okay. So Chiron in Aries is speaking to all of us around where we have had our life taken, where we've given away our freedom in order to survive, where we have had to choose our own way, more of like an exile type energy. Aries is ready to forge ahead and my way or the highway, and yet that often leaves souls very alone. But this pioneer energy, this willingness to go against the grain, this is who you are, supernova soul, from the beginning. It's the only reason that you got here in the place that you're in right now, is because you were willing to stand up for what was right and good and true and express that in the world. But that became, in the Piscean age, that became the devil. It became evil. It is an upside down reality. And now it's time to flip the tables. So this last few days, we had Mercury going, this last week, Mercury going over Jupiter and Chiron and Jupiter. And then this Uranus, Venus, Kundalini activation. It's like higher frequency. We've always seen kind of higher frequency vibrations or energies as something non-physical. And that's true, right? But what we're doing here is, ascension, the word is kind of misleading because what we're really doing is we're embodying who we really are spiritually into the physical. Very challenging. And of course, we're going to have to raise our vibration a bunch because we've been stuck in a way too low, dense reality for far too long. But the current times are cracking us out of this, breaking the spell, pulling us out from where we've been contained and hidden and playing small. And it's really bringing an interesting energy for supernova souls because it's like we're being asked to stand strong and true in who we are as spiritual beings. And yet, up to this point, this is the Chiron activation going on. It feels like everything working against us. If you want to come in with light and healing in the Piscean age, then you're going to be persecuted. That's just the way it is. That's the story. And so we're undoing these patterns, but think about how different vibration is from victim, small, scared, alone, in the corner, blocked, and that energy to just owning it, just stepping into it and owning and celebrating our abundant gifts. when we've been hiding and cowering for lifetimes. So it's just an important message for supernova souls to recognize that the patterns you're working on, what's coming up for you right now is lifetimes of patterns, and it's sticky, very confusing. Um, but so powerful to work through these energies that have been plaguing us and we've been allowing to hold us back for lifetimes. It's so amazing where we're at right now. And of course, we're going to have that Stockholm syndrome. Of course, we're going to have all the programming come up of fear that's told us it's not okay for us to come into our potential, right? So know that this is huge stuff we're working on over lifetimes. It's sticky and confusing, and it's also scary because we've literally been persecuted. There's an energy that can come in. This is programming in our kind of, it's like affecting our glandular system, our ability to come into our higher intuitive abilities. And that is, of course, we've all been programmed with fear to keep us, because if even just one supernova soul went full supernova and expressed who they really are as a soul, it'd be game over for the controllers. So you understand what they've had to go through, try to attempt to do, how much energy has gone into, because it's necessary in order for the controllers to keep control. Us, we lightworkers, supernova souls, have to be held down. So much has gone into holding us back and holding us down. Now, supernova souls have a tendency to take this personally, right? Be like, oh, you're so aware of karma, you're so aware of energy. And it's like, what did I do to deserve this? And it's like, well, what you did was you did it right. And at some point you didn't allow the fear to hold you down. So now we're going to allow the fear to hold us down, even though one of the big lies is that this technology, this intuitive ability, this Kundalini awakening and activation is something that we've never done before, and we don't know what we're doing, and it's going to be dangerous, or we won't be able to handle it. That's the programming, right? So when you recognize that, or the fear comes up, anxiety out of nowhere, you might have been triggered in a way you didn't know. It's like, oh yeah, that's programming. There's the fear programming. Because once we can identify it, we can overcome. It doesn't mean that the anxiety feeling might not be there, but this is where we are taking back a hold of our will force, and we're saying, yeah, but I'm stronger than the programming, and I know I've done this before, and I know exactly what I'm doing, even though I don't know anything about who I am doing. Such a crazy, wild place we're at here in this journey. I'm so glad we're here together, and thank you so much for your support and being with me in these times, and following the videos, following the messages, being a part of the supernova field. Because as we make these realizations and we set ourselves free, we're adding that to the supernova field to make it easier for other supernova souls to break free. We're all on the cutting edge, and there's like waves of souls that came in as supernova souls, and so those souls are activating, and um, the just kind of this message of like, okay, well, you don't know what you're doing, and you don't have any support, and you can't even talk to anybody about it, because you are on the cutting edge and you are leading the way. It's the only thing that makes sense. So that can kind of help, and help identify the programming. So what's happening is that next week we've got the sun. Last week we had Mercury go over Chiron and Jupiter for this Aries activate. Now, Jupiter is a very supportive energy, always brings expansiveness. But in this case, in Chiron, passing over Chiron the last couple months in the energy of Aries, it's like, or the last month, it's this expansion of our woundedness. It's a ripping open of this core wound of separation. That's really the only thing that can keep us small and scared. Because once you're connected back into the goddess, into the mother, into source, then see, this is why they had to make sure we were disconnected. We can see that all Aboriginal and Indigenous cultures had this established and maintained connection with the mother as a foundation of society. When you have that, it's really hard to keep people in fear because they've got the mother. They feel safe and held and loved. And this is the actual transition we're talking about. The transition that supernova souls are being asked to do right now, going from hiding and scared and alone and, suppressed for generations or lifetimes, and then just stepping into our power and standing up in it. It's a big change. It's a 180-degree turn. Now, that really speaks to the 2023 astrology, this twist of fate with Pluto coming into square with the nodes of the moon. And this is a huge transit. It's going to last 6 months. And it's like, oh my God, it just feels like we're not going to be the same people when we come out of this. And we don't know what it means because it's a twist. It's interesting though, because the twist of fate picture that keeps coming up is like a DNA, like a chromosome. So it's the twist of fate, this activation of our God code DNA. We like fully step into it and own it and celebrate it. So now, and then coming up with this energy of activating our core wound, because we can't take our core wound. Our core wound, if we move over into a new age and a new energy, then our core wound could keep our energy leaking out. And this has been coming up again and again right now for supernova souls. Everywhere that you have contractual arrangements with other souls or organizations or family lineages or governments or whatever, control energies on any level, or just contractual arrangements where you feel responsible to others before yourself. This is what got us into this mess. And these contracts are coming up so strong, and it is heart-wrenching. Imagine holding the pain and tending to another soul's reality, basically a codependent type thing where we got so caught up in trauma or in karma that we got to this place where we have to make them happy before we can be, they have to be on their path. We have to help them before we can be on our path. And these contracts cannot hold as we move in. It's just like the dismantling we're experiencing right now of all the structures of our reality. And these contracts are dismantling as well. And it's a little tricky because in the past we go like, oh, I have to go work at this contract. But right now there's this weird energetic play going on as we one by one take back more of our power, where these contracts are just breaking. But then we have like a backlash energy, where just like the narcissistic forces are running out of fuel. And so there's a feeding frenzy. And so we got to be really, really careful. This is a huge message coming through right now for supernova souls, that we know there's this incredible duality happening, and we know that we have to go back to oneness. So there's an energy of understanding the times that we're in, this place in the wilderness, this place in between timelines, this place between the past and the future, the old age and the new age. And we can feel that we've been being stretched by these worlds, like doing the splits as these worlds come together and go apart. And we're trying to hold, an anchor in multiple frequency vibrations. But this is the sticky, confusing part, because our energies end up getting derailed, or in those contractual arrangements, our energies are leaking out. So part of the deal with this time for us supernova souls is that we're being asked to come into full conviction. We cannot be a little of this, a little of that anymore. We have to be in full conviction. If we are not fully present and fully owning our spiritual experience as humans right now, forces will derail, feed upon, and work against us. So part of the energy of the intensity of these times is pushing us into this conviction, into this full. So it's almost like the picture I'm getting is that if you're part on the fence, you're like, yeah, I want to come into my power. I want to have my freedom. I want to reality. I want to come into my potential and all this, what I came here to do. The only thing that matters is supernova soul. But if part of us is still loyal to the lower energies, so this is everything that's being revealed. or those karmic contracts or other people, we've got this, then the picture that I'm getting is that this is the very tricky, confusing part. The way the energies are right now can only get behind us because we're going from this feeling of everything working against the light to stepping up and owning it, right? But the deal is that if we don't have complete conviction, right now the energies can't get behind us. And then can we even imagine what it's like to have the energies behind us again? Like carried and held and supported, and like the waters parting for our adventure and this co-creation process. Can we even vibrate into that? It's so different from how most of us have been living. See, it's the whole trap we've been in. They want us in this scarcity survival trap. And now we've got to change our vibration into abundance and receiving and owning and celebrating. And you can kind of see, so it's like we've been in this weird thing where as we go from the old way of creating with our ego, pushing forward an agenda, a plan, right? And this is a totally different way of co-creating, of creating, co-creating. And so this says the universe wants to get behind you. Source wants to get behind you. Source wants to see you own your energy because it's only for you, right? That's what source intended for you. But the energies cannot get behind you until you are in full conviction, because you'll end up going the wrong way. And I don't know exactly what that full conviction means. It's different for all of us. So we're exploring this. And it definitely, the Aries energies are bringing it to the foreground, just frustration of where we've been held back. Just like, no more, not another ounce of my energy, not another cent of my money. It's like we've been stolen from again and again, you know? And we want to stand up and own and celebrate this abundance. And yet, while we continue to allow forces to feed upon us, we can never do that. So it's like there's a beautiful energy available of celebrating the intensity of these times, pushing us into full conviction, where it's like, no, I'm not compromising to your energy vibration. Anyone, I don't care who you say you are, I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to bring my vibe down to meet yours. I'm not going to take part in that bullshit behavior of selfishness and fighting for what we have and celebrating, taking from other people. It's so sickening, isn't it? To wake up and realize how freaking selfish this world is and how we've been forced to be selfish, even though it's our nature to serve. And that's kind of the difficult thing right now. It's like this Aries energy is like, take what's yours. If you can't take what's yours, nothing can ever come support you in this journey. And supernova souls have been way codependent and giving it all away and making it better for everybody else for so long, you know? So we've had this Aries bloom of energy, right? And now the sun is coming in, you know, so we still have Mercury and the sun and Jupiter and Chiron. So 4 planets in Aries. And it's like, but it's an inner energy. It's an inner angst, you know, just kind of like, ugh, something needs to pop. Now, that's interesting because it really fits what I'm seeing of a detox energy right now. Energies are gathering up and blooming, and then they'll detox out. That seems to just be with the universal energies, the way they're working right now. So just know that things are blooming so that they can cleanse out, and also in our physical bodies as well. Now, the sun is coming up to Chiron on the 6th, and we'll start feeling that. We start feeling that today. So it's like, oh God. And I think this is the energy I'm feeling. It's like this anticipation. Like I made it through the last 2 Chiron Jupiter activations. I'll make it through this one too, right? Right? It's like, ooh, you might make it through, but whatever's not working in your life might not make it through because you've had enough. And so, but it's a disconcerting, that feeling of like, oh, just this, like you wish that you could just smooth through and make it all better and just pretend it's all okay. And we're running out of patience. So that is very powerful energy. And that's just in time for the Libra full moon. And the Libra full moon is on Thursday, April 6th, the activation in the morning in mountain time. Thursday, April 6th, but we're going to do the activation Wednesday, April 5th at 6 p.m. Mountain Time to make that available for some more time zones. But know that if it doesn't work in your time zone, the replay is always available and we're working outside of time. So you can just go catch that replay, get your messages, get the information you need. Know that even if you're live or on the replay, your energy is there because we're working in a quantum field. And it's so powerful to have that experience, because one little experience like that can be like, oh, I can handle this mundane thing because I understand another level what's going on. And it's so powerful to come together and build this field together. So this is a very powerful full moon because of that sun Chiron. That means the moon, the Libra full moon, is exactly opposite Chiron. So the moon is a reflection and it's our emotional self. And Libra is the sign of relationships and partnerships and family and love and community. And this is where the Aries is about when you own what's yours, it's a solo path. When you give it all away, you can have some people around you. This is what we found. It's deep, deep issues coming up for the supernova soul around connection and disconnection with this Libra full moon. But it's a reflection, an emotional reflection back on the sun Chiron, which is the sun is who we think we are, our identity, how we see ourselves. And Chiron is our woundedness of where we gave away our power, our life force, and our life. So it's like where we've had to choose the solo path. It's where we've had to choose in order to protect our family, we had to go against our own spiritual truth. We had to suppress and ignore our own spiritual voice in order to make it all good for everybody else. And then we had a karmic group of people around us for lifetimes being like, oh, don't do that. Oh, don't do that. Whatever you do, they're going to come burn you. It's like, and so we have a group of people that are here that are control type energy through karmic contracts, designed to keep us scared and disconnected from who we are. Now, this is a lot to sort through. It's like, yeah, I know I have this power in me, but you go to stand up in it, there's all these cords and spider web type energies of uh, claims on who you are as the light. That's the thing with the scarcity and then the traumatization and the abuse. It's like, okay, it's all about control. Every mind control program is based on trauma-based control. This is how you control people. It's been done for lifetimes to us. So it's like this sun Chiron is a reflection on this woundedness, on this victimhood. And it's kind of like, get me out of that wound, right? For those of us that have been living from that place of the wound, it feels like everything triggers us back into this core place. Now that's your most painful past life. That's very powerful. We don't want to look at that one, but it's our most, when we get triggered, we go to our most painful past life, and it's an energy that stays with us. It's almost like part of our soul is stuck in that vibration. And that's a big thing that we'll be doing probably in the eclipse soul group sessions. We'll be working on soul retrieval. This is huge for us right now, bringing back the parts of ourselves that we have been broken into pieces, cloned, whatever, right? Autonomous soul means autonomous soul, and bringing back all of our energy from everything that we've experienced. It's a very empowering time, and yet incredibly scary, because you can't bring this part of yourself that's scared and alone and stuck in a bad timeline of something that happened to you. You can't bring that back in and not heal the trauma, right? That's why you went numb. That's why you disconnected. So we're in this intense time where we're putting on our armor of light to face our deepest wounds, and heal those wounds for good so we can get out of the wound. So it's powerful when the sun will come up to Jupiter. That'll be on the 13th at 22 degrees. 22 is a master builder number, speaks to everything we're talking about, building a new world, a whole new reality. And so it's based on the autonomous ownership of our life force, our creation force available in our own body. We're turning our lights on. And like I said, you can't turn it on while it's almost like one wire isn't grounded or it's going somewhere else, It's been hijacked. Our circuit board has been hijacked. So a lot of what we're doing right now is reprogramming on a cellular DNA level, clearing these programs. So we are being very helped along in this by an epic and beautiful grand water trine. Right now, we have Mars in trine to Saturn. Mars is at 4 degrees, actually. And so Saturn is just moving to 3 degrees. So Mars and Saturn have been in this trine. That was exact at the end of March. And then we'll feel it through the first week of April. And it's very, very special because now that Mars is at 4 degrees, Mars is in an exact trine with the South Node. So Mars in Cancer in trine to the South Node in Scorpio. Now that puts Mars in sextile to the North Node, which is a very harmonious energy. So we've got a grand water trine and these two sextiles. So the North Node and the South Node are making a nodal axis, or the nodal axis is the backbone of a kite shape. And at the top is the North Node. And on one side, we've got Mars in Cancer. On the other side, we've got Saturn in Pisces. And the North Node in Taurus. And this is really, really beautiful and really important. Now, a kite shape in the birth, if you have a kite in your birth chart, the message around it is that exactly what we're talking about in disparate parts of ourselves, in broken hall of mirrors, personality, it's like kite energy it's like a soul who has so much potential and so much experience, but they haven't been able to integrate it into one whole. The kite energy typically activates later in life, and then you have to look at the other aspects of the birth chart that give the kite lift, because a kite does not fly on its own. The kite needs air. It needs that buoying support. It makes me think of that shift we're moving into of the energies getting behind us and working with us. It's exactly the energy of the kite. And it's about putting together these pieces of ourselves so we can be whole and complete and fly again. So the kite shape peaks out at here this first week. Yeah, the first week of April, because what's happening is that Mercury right now is at the end degrees of Aries, moves into Taurus on the 4th tomorrow. So that's probably why we're feeling this heightened energy of like Mercury at the end degrees of Aries, and coming into now is in square with Pluto. The exact square of Mercury with Pluto happens at 0 degrees. So tomorrow, Mercury hits 0 degrees and an exact square with Pluto. Now, this is where we're feeling this energy of breaking the ties, the karmic contracts, and what's required for us. We're getting all these messages. Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius is a sample of this energy of the Aquarian age. And it's the exact message we've been talking about, that you can't go into this new age, into that divine timeline, into that ideal while you are loyal to lower forces, while you're not whole and complete, while you have cords and contracts that you're leaking your energy out. And those things are keeping us from being in full conviction of who we are. But we can only move forward and energies get behind us when we come to full conviction. So, oh my gosh, this is so epic and karmic and just like final and definitive and determined. The very strong energy, powerful energy for us right now, determination and conviction. um, and it's for the true spiritual light and energy, which is Saturn is fighting for right now, because Saturn is at these early degrees of Pisces. And it is the flipping of the tables, because it's like we've had the Piscean age, which was reality, the truth, spiritual truth, turned on its head. And so Saturn in Pisces is undoing this, especially with this trine with Mars in Cancer. Mars, our warrior, fighting for the goddess, fighting for that connection to source. So these energies together, Mars now in trine with the South Node, creating this grand water trine. And the grand water trine is the body of the kite. So when Mercury comes in to the conjunction with the North Node, and that happens on the exact right at the full moon in Libra on the 6th, 7th, Mercury coming up to the North Node. Now that means Mercury that's the tip of the kite, the tippy top of the kite. And so Mercury coming in is triggering it, and that's what's flying the kite. So right for this Libra full moon, and it's powerful because it makes me think of like, well, if the energies are going to get behind us and lift us up, um, that's no longer a lonely journey. It's about us coming back together and really being in community together again. We don't, the message is that if we choose our own way, if we stick to our truth, then we're all alone, we're exiled, we're dead, we're killed, we're ostracized from the community. And this is what's flipping around in the tables. We can't move forward in this beautiful expression of autonomy and the energies working with us if we're not together. We're going together, you know? And as much as we know this on a mental level, so many supernova souls feel utterly alone, you know? And so this is the big shift we're talking about, part of going from leaking our energy out, small, scared, owning our power. Of course, we have to stand up to those forces that have not wanted us to. And we have to break those ties, and we feel so alone, and nobody is there for you, and nobody can meet you, and nobody can reflect back who you are. And it's so scary in the wilderness. But now this Libra full moon is saying that's not the truth, right? Because if we do this, we do it together. That's just the story. So we're opening up these pathways, getting out of the woundedness and the victimhood that keeps us from working together as a team and coming back together into our true spiritual community. Stop trying to get the people around you to be a part of your spiritual community. It's the wrong people, you know. I mean, for the most part, it's the wrong people. Just stop banging your head against the wall because they have their path, you have yours, and their path has been about keeping you from your path. So you need to take some space. Make sure that you've got full autonomy and permission within yourself. And it's scary. Some supernova souls have been completely psychologically handled through their family members and karmic relationships for lifetimes. And then how do you even know how to be free? What do you even want? What are you even doing? What would you do with all that freedom? This is where we're facing the monsters within and the programming and overcoming. And this grand water trine kite is just exactly what we need to do it. Unlike this epic astrology, but it's very powerful because of this bloom of Aries energy and that Aries, that umph, that it's almost like the Sun Jupiter is the last major transit of this Chiron Jupiter conjunction or connection in Aries. And so the Sun going over Jupiter on the 13th is going to be a very powerful kind of culmination energy. Like I said, that's at 22 degrees, master builder, and we're expanding into a new world, and our new world must be based on sovereignty of the human soul, doing what source intended, owning your energy for your creations, your co-creations, putting our whole will, activating our will once again. But the only way we can activate our third chakra, the only way we'll allow ourselves to do it is if we're fully in alignment with source. This is the conviction energy. And that's the only way the universe could get behind us. Wow, what powerful times. I hope to see you at this Libra full moon activation, and know that even if you can't make it to the activation, just being in the energy connects you. You can still get the messages and support of the group. But that activation is Wednesday, April 5th, 6 p.m. And so consider joining the Supernova Soul Tribe if you'd like to get the Friday updates, video updates, and also monthly Q&As and a whole bunch of resources for Supernova Souls and the Supernova Forum. And also there's the gold membership for $20 a month. And that includes access to the activations and live sharing circles. So if you don't want to miss an activation, you want to be a part of being able to share in this group, that's how it works best for that. So thank you so much for your support. It means so much to me, Supernovas. We're doing it. We're on the cutting edge. And I know it's lonely there, but don't listen to that programming. We go together, and it'll be interesting to see what comes forward around this Libra full moon. So thank you so much, Supernova Souls, for being with me and for going through all you've gone through to be right here right now in these sacred, most amazing times where we take back our reality. This grand water trine, this kite, is about living and breathing into our reality, harmoniously shifting into a world better than we can even imagine, and allowing our vibration to shift. And it's night and day. So it's not easy, but maybe that's part of it's like a day-to-day, moment-to-moment where it's like, oh, old paradigm, new paradigm, old paradigm, new paradigm, getting a little bit more comfortable. This whole year, here we have Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius right now, and the whole year's like this. It's like 0 point, the Fool, the zero card in tarot. It's like you're just maybe the hanged man, just really in the nothingness that's in between. And we've been feeling this for the last decade, 10 years of experiences of being like the old world's falling away and nothing's coming to catch us, And so now we're being asked to be at that 0 point, to be a part of the co-creation, right? That was part of that lore and energy that came through with 2012 astrology. And it was like, the planned world dynamic ends, the calendar ends, a new energy starts, and it was written to a point, karmically written, of things that need to be fulfilled, and then they can't see beyond that, meaning that we're co-creating it as we go. And so that's why we got to get in that. I'm just seeing like that 0 point. That's your controls, your room, your rocket ship. Get in there and get in alignment, get in conviction, be determined to live that beautiful, beautiful truth, and don't let anyone pull you off of that cloud. Let that kite fly, and we'll see you there. That's where we can find each other from that perspective up above. And that's definitely the energy of these activations, giving us an opportunity to really feel into our soul group connection and the clarity and the truths about what's happening right here, right now. You be fully present with these energies and take advantage of the messages and the buoying boat. This kite in the grand water trine kite is like a boat. It's carrying us through the storm, and we'll see where we land. I'm so glad we're together. Thank you so much, Supernova Souls. I look forward to seeing you soon at that activation, the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.